Hello everyone and welcome back to The Little Quilter. Today we are going to be working on month 4 of the Pas De Deux quilt. I know it's been a long time since we got to doing it, but I just really got wrapped up in the red sampler quilt and also working on the Harry Potter quilt and doing my first pantograph, but I know I want to keep making progress on this quilt and I am so excited about month 4. Okay, so as you guys know, this is the Pas De Deux quilt block of the month that is done by Rachel Hauser. I've got it listed down below if you're interested in pursuing this quilt. It is a beautiful design and I am loving it with the Edyta Sitar laundry basket fabrics. This month we're going to be tackling this block right here, and it's called the Still Point one, except instead of this blue and gray color, we're actually going to be using a tan and a yellow color, which I think is going to look really pretty with her fabrics. She just has some really beautiful yellow colors, and I feel like I've been drawn lately in the past like couple of years to that mustard yellow color. I don't know, I think it's really pretty. So I think being able to incorporate that into the quilt is going to be even more beautiful. Now, the start off to this was not great. Cutting this fabric has been rough. I mean rough. So the Still Point, you do have to have her pattern so that you have her triangle, this blunted tip triangle, and it was a lot of cutting. So here are my yellow diamond fabric, and they are directional. So the tan is a different direction than the yellow, and so cutting everything had to be very attentive to how I was cutting them, what way I was cutting them, the direction, everything. The other thing is there are 3 different sizes of triangles in this block. So we've got our medium point that you had to use her diagram to cut. And then I've got a large point one. And then last but not least, I've got a really small point one as well. So the cutting was pretty intense. I've got all of my pieces cut, so I'm ready to get going. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so this is going not great. Probably some of the worst piecing that I have seen myself do, in all honesty. And I thought I was gonna get away with trimming it, but it's not even coming out to like the right size. So I'm gonna just have to do a little bit more research. And I feel like I keep reading this paper over and over and over again to try and figure out how to sew it properly, because I guess the biggest issue with triangles is there are all of these points. So this piece, which it doesn't look bad in all honesty, but I mean, that is a non-existent 1/4 inch gap up here, right? So this is supposed to be a 1/4 inch, definitely gonna blunt those ends. And this is not the right length. So for now, I'm going to stick with this, but I'm going to see if I can make it a little better. Now, I am liking the color selection. I think that that is turning out really nicely. I'm liking the yellow and brown. It kind of reminds me of a banana a little bit, which I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but I am struggling with the placement of these pieces. So I'm going to see if I can tackle it with the next one. And for the moment, we'll hold on to these, but if I can do this better, I might end up redoing these. I'm just not sure. I really hate redoing stuff. I feel like I'm wasting fabric. Let's see what we can do. Okay guys, I think I have finally figured it out, and I'm pretty darn excited. So again, these are directional, so this is the other direction, but look how good this looks. I've got almost like a 1/4 inch space there. I mean, it's a smidge small, but honestly, like, and it's way closer to the right direction. So this is part of why I'm just gonna have to redo these. I mean, that is a lot of difference right there. And I think it's just too much. You know, if it was like 1/8 of an inch, but this is literally like a 1/4 of an inch difference. And it's consistently a 1/4 of an inch difference. So if I had done, and this one's even worse. Oh my gosh, look how bad this one is. That is so bad. So if these were more consistent, I would not redo them, but I'm gonna have to redo these. So I've got to cut these pieces again, and I'll just set these aside. Maybe I can use them for something for scrap, but I can't. I can't do this again. And they're not the right size. I've already cut these down, so they're not even the right size. So these are scrap. Now I'm gonna show you where I figured out what I was doing wrong. Okay, so I've got all the pieces laid out, and what I'm going to show you, this is what helped me figure out what I was doing wrong, was sewing this piece in itself. And what you want to do is you want to take your triangle and you want to turn your diamond so that this point that you're coming to is facing vertical. And then we're going to take our triangle piece here, flip it over, and you basically want to use this flat space right here to line this up, and then just make sure that you're lined up here, right? So you want to have your raw edges lined up along the seam, but the most important part is that this part right here is the equidistance here. And so when you sew your 1/4 inch line, right, so this is not a ruler foot, but it has that 1/4 inch line that you can see there. So when you sew that 1/4 inch line, you can see where it's going to hit. Okay, and just to show you, so here is I'm gonna move these up here because they're going with that other block that I'm working on, but this is the block that I have to redo, or at least one of them. And I don't have to, I am redoing it. I think it needs to be done so that it is the right direction. I just feel like they were too off. So again, last time we had our diamond was going in this direction. So this time, what we're gonna do, take these two, and we're gonna turn this, again, vertical, so it still doesn't matter that the direction is now this way, going towards the left rather than going towards the right. We're gonna take our block, line it up so that we're meeting that diamond right there, okay? So that we have that little dog ear sticking out. It's like a little friend saying, hello. So we want that to stick out, and then we're gonna sew our 1/4 inch seam down this level. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how I am lining this up. I think that this is going to work the best is actually putting it on my bias tape. So sticking the diamond down first and then using this so that I know this is going to hit at that 1/4 inch, and then lining it up down here so that it just goes straight down the edge of the fabric. And I think that's going to help me get this triangle to end up going straight across. Because I think if you go over, you're going to get it short, and if you go under, then it might be a little bit um, it might be a little bit over in that instance. So we'll see how this works, but I think this is not a bad idea. So just to give you guys a close-up look here of lining that edge up and then using that to measure where that 1/4 inch is going to go, so you know you're placing your triangle down properly. Okay, I got these blocks done. I feel like these were some of the hardest blocks I have done the entire quilt. And I did have to do some trimming, which you're supposed to do trimming on it, but you're not supposed to technically trim the top where you have this. I just made really carefulness to make sure that I kept this 1/4 inch seam as much as I could if I had it whenever I sewed it. So if I had to cut on this side, because you're dealing with a lot of bias edging, and so unknowingly as I was ironing or as I was sewing, I would kind of pull it, and so I did have some of them that had a little bit of like a wave to them, and the only way to fix that is to trim that and straighten the edge back up. And so I just took really good care to do that, and these are now fixed, so they're much more they're the right size. I wouldn't say much more. They are the right size, which is nice to have that. So there's that one. And I am still loving the fabrics. I think they're a lot of fun. And that's what we've got. Now, the next part looks a little bit complicated, which I think just goes with this block. And so let me see if I can lay it out and then I can start doing it. But I think this is the main part of the rest of this block. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I have completed this first block, and this thing was crazy. I really had to focus, which is why I didn't film it. Now I'm going to work on doing the other ones. I've still got 3 more blocks to do of this. And it is just, so also my first Y seam that I did, but really learning how to do all of these. I mean, it's just crazy. You know, this block is wild. I'm really interested to see how it comes together for the whole thing as well. So let's get to seeing if we can get these rest of these 3 blocks done. Okay, everybody, I finished the last block. This has seriously been the hardest block I have ever made in my entire life. It is so crazy. And this is the last one. So I do think I definitely got better, which is good. There were Y seams in this. There were biased edges in this. There were triangle. It was a lot. It was a lot. But I have done it. And I have also gone ahead and sewn together, if you remember, these beautiful blocks. Pretty headband. Okay, so I've sewn together these beautiful blocks, and they are going to go across the top edge. And so I'm going to go ahead, lay this block out, or lay these multiple blocks out. Some of them aren't as perfect. I do think you need to take your time with this. I mean, honestly, it is one of the hardest blocks that I have ever sewn in my whole life. And bias edges, triangles. Seriously, why? Like, it's something that you need to take your time. So I did one, felt pretty confident, did two, they were okay, not the best, and then really focused in for the other ones. And by the end, I mean, I really think that looks pretty darn good. It's not perfect, but nothing in life is perfect. And honestly, for how difficult this block was to put together, I'm in love with it. I'm so proud of myself. I can't believe, you know, you just have to push yourself. And this is one of these blocks in this Pas De Deux quilt that I probably never would have tried. I would have seen the picture and thought, what a beautiful quilt, and moved on. But she has pushed me. Rachel Hauser has pushed me in my quilting and in such a wonderful way. So without further ado, let's go ahead and finish putting this together and see what this is going to look like, because I'm so excited to see it. Let's do it. Okay, everybody, it is done. And going from these super long, messed up strips that were just not right to the struggles and frustrations of Y seams and figuring out how to iron and sew with bias edges in, I feel like, every direction, I have done it. I have completed this block and I love it so much. And I'm so happy that it's this yellow and tan brown color. I don't know why, but I think it was just the perfect color choice. So here it is. And it's so big. It's going to be such a big part of the quilt, which I am really excited about because I just worked so hard on this and was so frustrated with it because of the Y seams and because of not knowing how to do it. I think it's just going to be so much fun to custom quilt this. I'm just really so excited by it. And if you guys have been thinking about doing the Pas De Deux quilt by Rachel Hauser and have been on the fence, I will tell you that this block was one of the hardest blocks in the entire quilt thus far. But I am so proud of this quilt block, and it has really pushed my quilting to that next level. And so, I would not even consider myself like a really extensive quilter. I mean, this is the first one where I've done applique and I've done paper piecing and now I've done Y seams, and it's just crazy to me. So, even if you think you're a beginner quilter, I think you should try this. I think pushing yourself to do these techniques and improve your quilting and your sewing is completely worth it. So if you are looking at Rachel Hauser's Pas De Deux quilt, and one of the things that has stopped you from purchasing this has been the cost, because you're going that much money, I think it's like $80 or something, to do this quilt. And that was one of the most expensive quilt designs that I have purchased, quilt instructions that I have purchased. But within every quilt month that you get, and there are 6 months, they all have another quilt design. So a lot of you all have said in some of my other videos that I should do a test block so that I can figure out, the things that I need to change. And basically within each quilt, your test block is the one for the Pas De Deux quilt. So this would be my test block. And then if I really wanted to become competent at my Y seams, I could then do the entire still point quilt. And yeah, this is a gorgeous quilt. Probably not going to be doing it soon, but she gives you everything you need. So this is really a quilt purchase within a quilt purchase, and I don't think I've mentioned that before, and I just thought that that might be important if there were any of you that were sitting on the fence about doing it, maybe because of the cost, because you're really purchasing multiple quilt designs, multiple quilts to be done. So at the end, I'm really excited by this block. I'm so excited to see it come together with the rest of the quilt, and we will continue working through the Pas De Deux quilt as I find time, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed the video. I look forward to hearing all of your comments and ideas, and if you have any tips and tricks on doing Y seams as well, then make sure you leave them down below for me, as well as for any of the other quilters that are watching this video going, how the heck do I do this? So, as always, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.